I bought this cool table. It's not little actually. It's pretty high, but it's for doing some online teaching. Seems to be the big thing now. And this company sent me an email, so I checked my email, and I got an email from YouTube telling me that there'd been a privacy complaint about my David Kedwards video. So I can only assume that it was David Kedwards himself, or else it was Sean. But I can't imagine. I don't know that Sean guy, but I can't imagine that it was him. So there you go. David Kedwards has seen the video, and I just thought, why not take that opportunity of him complaining about my video to make a follow-up video and just sort of, I guess, give my reaction to his phone call. Now, firstly, I do not believe that David Kedwards had the idea that phone call was not being recorded. He gave these scripted remarks, these prepared remarks. He even began, and if you haven't seen that video of mine, check it out, listen to it. So this is maybe more relevant to people who have seen that video. But if he wasn't expecting to be recorded, why did he just have these like prepared remarks? Like, he was able to, I mean, he's lived this, so you can understand that he would be aware pretty well of like what he thought about everything. But I just feel like he would have had some idea that it could have possibly been recorded. Now, what did David Kedwards say? I mean, if you just like suspend belief and regress back to childhood and pretend to be a child or pretend to be a little kid and listen to what David Kedwards says, he's as innocent as a lamb. Butter wouldn't melt in his mouth. You know, he's done nothing wrong. He claimed. So let's look at some of his claims. I've got some notes here. So he claims that he was not paid. So that is an unverifiable claim. Now, why would he make that claim? He would make that claim to sort of suggest that he was acting out of some higher purpose, that he wasn't driven by money, that he wasn't driven by greed. So it's extraordinary to think that a company that was so obsessed with money was actually led by somebody who wasn't. That's extraordinary. That is absolutely extraordinary. So I'm calling bullshit on that one. That's completely beyond what is believable. So David Kedwards, you're a liar. What else is he claiming? He's claiming that basically he was not the CEO. Now, irrespective of the legal status of himself and the various branches and what the website says and all this kind of stuff, I mean, I don't care what the website says. I don't care about his contract. I don't care about what he has to say about him not being a CEO. As far as I am concerned, as far as I am aware, as far as anybody is aware, and Sean was very polite in the phone call, he has been performing the role of a CEO. Now, he has kind of said, oh, but I wasn't the owner. Well, you don't necessarily have to own a company to be the CEO of it. He's trying to make people believe that you have to own a company to be a CEO, and that owners and CEOs have some sort of like fraught relationship or whatever, you know. Peke may have owned Wall Street China, but David Kedwards is the one who is responsible as the CEO. He was acting as a CEO, he was behaving as a CEO, and he is the CEO, or he was the CEO of the global company. So David Kedwards, you're a liar. You're a liar. Now, what I found most disgusting about his phone call was just how much of a politician he was revealing himself to be. He had these like slogans that he'd obviously thought carefully about. And if you think about the managers at Wall Street, they weren't the dumbest people in the world. I mean, they weren't geniuses, they weren't Nobel Prize winners, and some of them are my viewers, but they were pretty clever people. They were probably cleverer than myself. And at the top of that tree was somebody like David Kedwards. He is a persuasive speaker. He's a very persuasive speaker. And in that phone call, he's using the full powers, or attempting to use the full powers of his intelligence to persuade the listener about X, Y, and Z. Now, one of the giveaways, as far as I'm concerned, that he'd basically been a politician and he was lying through his teeth, is the fact that he had all these slogans just ready to go. Peke was a one-man band. Peke wasn't a turnaround guy. So these are slogans he's been repeating again and again and again and again and again and again and again, so that he can escape the consequences of his failure. David Kedwards, you are a liar. You're a failed business person. You're a failed business person. You couldn't lead an organization in difficult times. You couldn't be honest with staff. You couldn't inspire confidence. And you have no right to be an executive of a company because of your lies and because of your, I would call it criminal conduct. You were the leader of an organization that was so obsessed with sales targets that you had in-house financing for people who didn't even have jobs. Now those students are stuck with all of that debt, and the teachers haven't been paid for 3 months. And what does everybody get at the end of it? They get complaints, complaining to me, complaining to YouTube about me. Mr. Kedwards, there's going to be 0 consequences for that. 0 consequences. I'm not going to get in trouble for that. What's going to happen? Nothing's going to happen. You're a liar. You're a failure. And you've caused people to have a lot of trouble. The way that you were talking, the way that David Kedwards was talking, it's that there isn't this huge problem with teachers that haven't been paid for such a long time. There isn't this huge problem with students that have huge amounts of debt. And he's laying, very cleverly, he's trying to lay all of the blame upon Pecanini, who was, I suppose, somebody who believed in him and somebody who probably considered him to be a friend. And even in his advanced age, he has absolutely no loyalty from someone who worked with him for so long. So that is absolutely revolting as well. The way that he tried to turn Peke into a senile, old guy who was past it, who couldn't do anything. They were basically his words, listening between the breaths. And the mask, I think, really slipped when he asked Sean about where he was from. And if you listen to that again, he thickened his accent before he said it, like as if to say, well, I know where I'm from. Where are you from? Like, who are you? Some kind of nutcase? And look, he's a bully, and he's a liar, and he's a failure, and he needs to accept some responsibility. The claim that he's not allowed to speak publicly, the claim that he's not allowed to say anything publicly, is pathetic. That's a pathetic lie. That's a pathetic, disgusting lie. You've ruined my video, Papa. Get out. So yeah, that happens in the real world. But look, I just get sick of it. And making that little YouTube complaint, it's like, get a life. What do you think's going to happen? Nothing's going to happen, You can just go fuck yourself, David Kedwards, if you're listening to this. And that's basically all I've got to say about that. You've got no reputation left. And you've shown absolutely no remorse, no contrition. You've taken absolutely no responsibility. You've blamed your greatest patron, Pecanini, for mistakes that you have made. And you should be very ashamed of yourself. And if you want to come out publicly and apologize, I think that would be appropriate. But complaining to YouTube about me is, it's like just sad. It's really sad. So, yeah, that's all I have to say.